Okay, so in this video we're going to look at how to find a mortgage payment, also how to find the total amount of interest paid for a mortgage, and also how to do the first few periods of an amortization table. So here is our problem. If you borrow $125,000 from a bank to buy a home, and the terms of the mortgage require that you repay the loan over 30 years by making monthly payments, what will your monthly loan payment be if the interest rate on the loan is 5% per year compounded monthly? How much will you pay in interest over the period of the mortgage? What are the first two periods of the amortization table for this mortgage? So let's go ahead and figure out how much the monthly payment will be. So if we go to our time value money solver and we look at our typical inputs, we're going to have N, I, PV, FV, payment, and then type. So as usual, N, I, and payment must all correspond to the same length of time. So in this case, note that we are making monthly loan payments, so N needs to be the number of months. So if the loan period is 30 years and I need the number of months, N will be 30 times 12. Now to find the interest rate per month, we know that the annual rate is 5% per year and it's compounded monthly. So to find the annual rate, we're going to take the 5% divided by 12, and note that we keep it in percentage format because the calculator is looking for it in percentage format. Now for present value, present value of this loan will be the $125,000. And we'll put that in as a positive number because that's what the bank is handing you today. So as far as your relationship to the bank is concerned, they just gave you $125,000. Now you in turn handed it over to whoever you bought the home from, but as far as your relationship with the bank is concerned, that's a positive cash flow to you of $125,000 today. Now at the end of the 30 years, we should owe the bank a grand total of 0 at that point because we will have paid off the loan. Payment is what we are trying to find, and in the case of a typical mortgage, the payments are made at the end of each period, so we will set the type to end. So at this point, I recommend that you pause the video and solve for the payment with your time value of money solver, using alpha and enter after you've highlighted the payment line. And I'll wait for a moment to see what you get. Okay, so if you pause the video and solve for the payment, what you should have gotten was negative $671.03. So the negative sign, as usual, you have to take with a grain of salt. Although in this case, it kind of makes sense since we are actually having a cash outflow of $671.03. But sometimes that sign doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. So we solved the first problem, which was how much will the monthly payment be under these circumstances. So our monthly payment is going to be $671.03. Now the next question is how much will you pay in interest over the period of the mortgage? Well, in order to find that, what we can do is we can kind of think through what's actually happening here. We know that for 30 years, we are paying $671.03 per month. So the total number of periods is 30 times 12, and 30 times 12 is 360. So we have 360 periods, and in each of those periods, we are paying $671.03. So if I multiply the 360 months times the amount I'm paying per month, it's going to give me the total amount that I am paying to the bank. So at this point, I recommend that you pause the video and work that number out and see how you do. Alright, so if you pause the video and work that out, what you should have gotten was $241,570.80. So that's the total amount that you sent to the bank. Now remember, all the money that you sent to the bank either went to pay off the loan or went to pay interest on the loan. Now as it turns out, we know how much the loan amount was, which is $125,000. So if I subtract the $125,000, then what I should be left with is the amount that actually went to pay interest. So at this point, I recommend that you pause the video and work out that number and see how you do. Alright, so if you pause the video and work that out, what you should have gotten was $116,570.80. So $116,570.80, and this is the interest amount. So if you think about that for a moment, that's a little bit frightening, that you sent the bank $116,570.80 in interest, and the house actually cost $125,000. So you sent almost as much in interest as you sent in principal. So that's a little bit frightening. But in this case, you have answered the second question here, which is how much will you pay in interest over the period of the mortgage? The next question is, what are the first two periods of the amortization table for the mortgage? So to solve this, what's really important is to make sure that we get our columns set up properly. So the first column is going to be for the number of periods that we have, or the period number. So we're going to do this for the first two periods. The next column is the beginning balance. The column after that will be for our periodic interest rate. Column after that will be for our periodic interest payment. Column after that will be for our total payment. Column after that will be for our principal payment. And our final column will be for the ending balance. Okay, so at the beginning of the first month, we owe the bank $125,000. Now, to find our periodic interest rate, we can look at our annual rate, which is 5% per year. It's compounded monthly, and each period is a month long. So to find our periodic interest rate, we're going to take our 5% divided by 12. Now, I recommend that you put this in decimal form. So the decimal form of 5% would be 0.05, and take 0.05 and divide it by 12. And I'll give you a moment to work that out. Okay, so if you pause the video and work that out, what you should have gotten for the periodic interest rate is 0.004166667, and actually the sixes continue on infinitely, but I'm hanging on to a few extra decimal places here because they'll matter a little bit here in a moment. So now that you have your periodic interest rate expressed as a decimal, to find the periodic interest payment, what you do is you take your periodic interest rate and you multiply times the beginning balance. So I recommend that you pause the video at this point and work that out. Okay, so if you pause the video and work that out, what you should have gotten for your periodic interest payment is $520.83. Now, we know what the total payment is because we found that up here. So the total payment is $671.03. So every month you're sending the bank a check for $671.03, or using an electronic transfer or whatever means you use. And of that, $520.83 for this first month went to pay interest. The rest of it went to pay principal. So to find the principal payment, you take the total payment less the $520.83 of interest, and that will give us our principal payment for the first month. I'm going to give you an opportunity to pause the video here to solve that out. If you pause the video and solve that out, what you should have gotten was a principal payment of $150.20. So you sent the bank money of amounting to $671.03. $520.83 went to interest, $150.20 went to pay off the loan amount. Now to find the ending balance, how much you ended the month owing the bank, what you can do is you can take the beginning balance of $125,000 less how much you actually paid off on the loan. So at this point I recommend that you pause the video to work that number out. Okay, so if you pause the video to work that out, your ending balance should be $124,080. So that is the ending balance for the first month. Now, if that's where you end the first month, then that is going to be where you begin the second month. So we can just transfer that number over here. Now, our periodic interest rate, if we're dealing with a fixed rate loan, is going to be the same each month. So we can just carry that number down. Now, if I take the periodic interest rate times the beginning balance, that will give me the periodic interest payment for this second month. So I recommend that you pause the video to work that out and see how you do. Okay, so if you pause the video to work that out, what you should have gotten was a periodic interest payment of $520.21. Now, our total payment is still the same, $671.03. So to find our principal payment for this month, we take the total payment of $671.03 minus the interest payment of $520.21 to get our principal payment. So I recommend that you pause the video to work that number out. Okay, so if you pause the video to work that out, you should have gotten $150.82. So what that means is that you have sent the bank a whopping 62 cents more towards principal this month than you did last month. And we still sent the bank $520.21 in interest, but the overall amount you sent the bank was $671. Now, to find the ending balance, what you'll do is take the beginning balance for this month of the $124,849.80, and you'll subtract the $150.82 that you sent towards principal. And at this point, I recommend that you pause the video to work that number out. Okay, so if you pause the video to work that out, what you should have gotten is $124,698.98 as your ending balance for the second month. Now, if you were going to continue on to the third month, that number would be your beginning balance for this third month, and you would proceed as before. Now, if you're doing this in Excel, you could drag these cells down if you set them up with formulas. But one thing to be wary of if you're setting that up in Excel is that beginning balance amount is a hardwired number. So if you were thinking about setting this up so that this cell here equals where you ended last month, this 125,000 is actually still just 125,000. So you have to be careful how you drag that down to make sure that you don't cause problems. But in any case, if you dragged it down for the full number of months, which is 360, you might find out that your ending balance doesn't quite work out exactly to zero. And the reason for that is because this total payment amount is actually slightly rounded. So if your ending balance is pretty close to zero, then what you can do is just change your total payment for the very last month, which is the 360th month in this case, to make it so your ending balance actually works out to zero. Now, if you're really off and it's more than a few dollars, then you probably have a problem somewhere and you need to fix it. However, it's worth noting that if you add up all the principal payments for the full 360 months, it better add up to our principal of $125,000. And if we add up all the interest payments and all of the total payments, the sum of the interest payment column plus the sum of the principal payment column better add up to the sum of the total payment column, because all the money that you sent to the bank either went to interest or to principal. So the sum of the interest paid plus the sum of the principal paid better add up to the sum of everything that you paid to the bank. I recommend that you try this out in Excel and see how you do.